I love combiners. Just the fact that so many different types of Transformers can all just be mashed together into one big one is just really cool in my mind. That's why in my previous video, I loved Devastator, despite all its flaws. I just really like the idea of the combiner itself. And that also includes G1 combiners, where the Commander class Legacy Motormaster is no exception. I just love this figure as a whole, and I also really love just this individual robot mode as well. I think it's so cool, and I just love the overall proportions of him. He is quite blocky and quite big in terms of proportions. Like, I really like how thick his lower legs are, and I just love the shaping of everything. The only issue with proportions is just the really skinny thighs. I do think that they are a bit too skinny, but besides that, I think it looks amazing. And what's also amazing is the sculpting. I really like the sculpting on this. It looks so good. I really love how they did the sculpting in his arms. The sculpting really gives the illusion that it's like outlined in a different color, but it's not. It's just the white. The sculpting really sells that illusion. And I also like his chest as well, though it may be a bit too plain for my taste. But besides that, I really like it. And I also like the fact that they gave him 2 nipples. My most favorite part about this figure is the lower legs. The sculpting on the kneecaps is insane. I really love this style of sculpting. I really wish they just put that more like throughout the figure, and it gives off this really nice cyberpunk aesthetic. And speaking of those kneecaps, they are painted in this really nice purple. And purple is basically the only paint on this figure, where he has purple here, here, and here, as well as a nice little Decepticon logo on his shoulder. I do like the colors. Black, purple, and white is always a good combo, but I do wish he had more of a breakup, especially in the upper body region. It is pretty plain in terms of color, and the sculpting really is lost. You can't even make out his nipples anymore. I really do like this grey outline around his upper body. I do think that's pretty unique, and it's sort of halfway there to being that G1, like cartoon accurate paint, but it's not quite there. Overall, paint is lacking. But what's not lacking is the head. The head is sculpted amazingly. It looks so cool. He looks so menacing, and I just love the metallic purple. I just wish they used this color more. It's so nice and shiny. I really like it. What I don't like about the head is the bucket hat. I know it's accurate to the original, but it just looks so weird in my opinion as a design choice. The head is so good, and then it just gets covered by this Minecraft block.
I'm Steve.
I also really like the fact that they put mini truck cabs in his feet. They literally molded and made a mini truck cab with wheels included as well, just to be animation accurate, which is so cool in my opinion, and I think it's so funny because you have this normal size cab and then a little baby cab right there. I think it's really nice that they did that, and it's really considerate of them because there's no way they would have gotten this design without faux forming parts. I just appreciate that detail. What I also appreciate is the backpack. For it being technically a triple changer, his backpack is so minimal and so non-existent, where the only kibble is just this, which is not even kibble. I wouldn't even classify it as kibble. And while we're at the back, he is filled in. I always appreciate Transformers that are filled in, and I do like it a lot. And here is him next to the Studio Series 32 Optimus Prime. And as you can see, he is around Voyager height, so he's just basically a Voyager figure. Anyways, here is him with my previous review, as well as Blitzwing, RC, and Galvatron. I do think he looks really good with other G1 Decepticons. I do think they look so cool next to each other. And what's also cool is the feeling of this figure. Everything is so nice and solid, and nothing really comes apart. And the only issue I have with the feeling of this figure is not the joints itself, but it's just the fact that he does like to tip over. I can just give him the slightest nudge and he just falls. Quite disappointing. I didn't even touch him that time. But yeah, like, the moment you set him down, there's like a 50% chance he falls. Okay, that is really unfortunate because it does sort of make him hard to pose. Posability on Motormaster is not that bad. He does have all the joints you need, including a waist swivel and a really deep knee bend. It really does work and you can get him in some really nice dynamic posing. And if I just had one thing to complain about, it's just the head, where you can't look up or down. But that's due to the design. And the fact that you can't look up or down does make him look sort of out of place in some poses where you do need the up-down movement. And in order to help him with posing, he does come with one accessory. But that accessory is stuck inside this giant included trailer. This trailer is so heavy. It's so boxy. I really like it a lot just because it's so satisfying to hold. But the fact that it is so heavy has its own downside, where when you place it down and just give him like a little push, it does collapse under its own weight, which is very annoying, and it's very hard just standing up this trailer by itself, where this white stand at the bottom is not strong enough to hold the weight, and the wheels on the side don't tab in secure enough to hold the weight as well. But anyways, I pulled out this trailer to get his weapon, and that is inside. So what you do is you just pull open. Normally, the sword would be tabbed into this peg right there. And this sword is way too big for him, and that's because it is mainly for the combined mode. But even still, for the combined mode, this sword isn't that good, and I will talk about that later. And while I have the trailer out, let's just get this into its base mode. Okay. I sort of forgot how to do the base mode, which does say a lot about this mode. I got an approximation. It's sort of like this, but it would tab in a lot better, and I just made the overall shape because I did forget how to do it. But I will put a picture up. It does look like that. I do think it's cool. It's one of the better base modes, I guess. And he can stand at the back and hold those two handles, which I do think is pretty cool. But I don't really care about base modes that much. Since we already have taken apart this trailer, let's get him into his final combined mode. The process of getting into Menasor was not that bad. Everything is satisfying and everything was very easy to follow along. It's not hard at all. It's very interesting and very fun to do, actually. Yeah, I just have no issues with the actual process of getting there. And the combined mode we end up with is so tall. Here is him with Optimus, my previous review, and some of my G1 figures. I really like how big he becomes. It's very impressive. And what's also impressive is that you can get the full combiner experience without having 5 separate Transformers. I've had this figure for years, but I've never bought any of the limbs because I'm just happy with this as is. And in terms of value for money, that means a lot. It gives you the full combiner toy without you needing to invest so much money into getting 4 more figures on top of this commander class, which I do appreciate. And it also just leaves the option for people who want to complete the set just to have a more accurate combined mode as well. And the fact that they use a skeleton also enables for really good posability. Well, posability on this is actually very dynamic. I think it's one of the best posing combiners. Especially with stuff like Bay vs Devastator, you really can't pose that at all. And other combiners like from the Combiner Wars line really lack posability. The fact that this has the same level of posability as a normal figure speaks volumes. It is actually crazy how much dynamic poses you can pull off with this. I just like messing around with him. And I'm so happy again that I don't have to invest so much money into buying every single limb. But now let's talk about some negatives about him. He is so plain. Like, the whole chest area is just black with just purple on the Decepticon logo and purple on his crotch. Which is so unfortunate because there is a lot of detail and it just gets lost. It just disappears. It's such a big canvas and they decided not to paint it. The head sculpt's pretty good though. And there is literally no kibble on this combined mode. There is just one more mode we need to get to. And that requires us to get all of these arms and legs back into a trailer. And now let's get this torso back into robot mode. And then finally, let's get him into his truck mode. Transformation was okay. Don't mind the video, I did forget how to do it a bit. But it's okay. All the steps were pretty easy to follow along. I don't really have that many issues with the actual transformation. It's just that I just forgot how to do it in this recording. And the truck mode we end up with is pretty nice. I think it looks really satisfying. I love how boxy this is, and it just looks so good in my opinion. There's just no color, again. It just makes the whole thing seem washed out and just plain, even though there is so much sculpting on it. The grey in the front is good though. I do wish they put this grey on the sides as well. Another issue I do have with this is that this top part, whenever I grab it, it just comes undone, which is very annoying and quite difficult to deal with because whenever you just pick them up, the panels just collapse. But besides that, visually, it works. I really do like it. It does roll pretty well as well. And it has virtually zero kibble, just like the Studio Series 38 Optimus Prime, but maybe this might be better. It is very clean, but there is the torso back here, but that can be covered up with the trailer. And the front part of the trailer can be covered up by this truck as well. I do think this looks really cool. It's such a shame that the wheels collapse under pressure. I just love trucks with trailers. I think it's really cool visually. I just like the way this looks. It's really good. And the point I'm trying to get across is that when you look up close, there is a lot of flaws with it visually, like in terms of colors and stuff. But if you look at it as a whole and you zoom out, it's very nice and I just like it a lot. Anyways, here is him with Optimus Prime and some of my G1 figures. And so overall, the robot mode definitely stands alone and I really like the truck mode. But there are some issues with how heavy the trailer is and just the visual things within the figure in all three of its modes, where the lack of paint really hurts this figure. But I think it's not enough to take away from this figure as a whole, since it's basically a full combiner already and you don't need the other limbs to experience the full combiner, and each of the modes are very nice and it's a very fun figure. I definitely recommend it if you're interested in combiners or just this character in general. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you have a nice day.